What's going on, guys? It's Fights MMA, and today I'm coming out to do my UFC 319 picks and predictions official for these cards, Dricus to Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. I think this is going to be an absolutely banger of a card. We're going to focus on the main card today primarily, and we are going to give our picks, betting odds, predictions, everything going into this fight. We have an absolutely stacked card ahead of us. Obviously, like I said, main event Dricus du Plessis, Khamzat Chimaev. Co-main event, we got Aaron Pico's debut against Lerone Murphy in the co-main event of this fight, possibly a title eliminator in the featherweight division. Featured bout Jeff Neal, Carlos Prates. This was a fight that was scheduled for UFC 314 and ultimately got rescheduled. Then we got Kaya Saikaru versus Tim Elliott, and maybe one of the most interesting fights on the entire card, Jared the Cannon Man, Killer Gorilla Cannonier going out there against Michael Venom Page. This is going to be an absolutely incredible card. If you guys are enjoying the UFC content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. This is the best way to help the channel grow. And while you're out there, please try to share, repost these videos, and drop a comment asking about what you guys want in the very near future. But without further ado, let's talk about UFC 319. Starting with the opening fight on this card, we got Tim Elliott versus Kaya Saikaru, and this is going to be a very interesting fight between these guys. Tim Elliott coming down from 135. I think he fights at 125 usually, but his last fight was at 135 pounds. He's going to be fighting Kaya Saikaru, the 5'8", 31-year-old former Rizin champion who just fought Alexandre Pantoja in his last one. I got Kaya Saikaru in this one. I don't think I need to really explain that much. He's the younger fighter, even though he hasn't fought the level of competition someone like Tim Elliott has. Tim Elliott's 38 years old. He's fighting a really explosive striker here. He's got a height disadvantage. He's got a reach disadvantage by 3 inches. I think Asakaru is going to really go out there and put on a performance and remind everyone of how good he is. Now, I think that in his last fight against Pantoja, it was a little bit misconstrued just because of how absolutely dominant Alexandre Pantoja has been inside the UFC. But I do think that this fight against Tim Elliott is going to really allow everyone to see Kaya Saikaru. Currently, he is a big favorite on this card. He's a minus 320 for a plus 250, and I would say that I am pretty confident about this pick. I mean, I do think that if you are going to bet on Kaya Saikaru, I would, in my opinion, but I would throw it in a parlay. It's not good to do just off a straight bet. But my first fight of the night, Kaya Saikaru defeating Tim Elliott, I'm going to say by second round KO. I think it's going to be a really good fight for these guys, but I would bet on Kaya Saikaru, but not individually. Put this thing in a parlay. Now, in the next fight, we got Mr. Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. The battle of the old dogs out there. Jared Cannonier, 41 years old. He is still looking better than ever. In his last fight, he fought Gregory Rodriguez and absolutely was able to get the win in that one. Fight prior, he fought Caio Borralho in an incredible bout. He looked so good in that fight against Caio. And then I think prior to that, he fought Nasruddin Imavov in a good fight where he lost. And then before that, he had the absolutely performance of a lifetime against Mr. Marvin Vettori, where he landed the most significant strikes in UFC middleweight history. Michael Venom Page riding 2-1 in the UFC. His last fight was a win over Shara Magomedov in I think it was Saudi Arabia back in February, where Venom Page was able to get that fight done. Also, when he fought Ian Gary, that was a really close fight that he lost. As we know, Ian Gary is one of the top-ranked UFC welterweights. And his debut against Kevin Holland. All really good fights for Mr. Michael Venom Page. And where do I see this fight going? First off, I want to talk about the odds. This is a really hard fight for me to pick, and this would be a fight, honestly, that I want to stay away from betting. Michael Venom Page is a minus 195 favorite to a Jared Cannonier, who is a plus 165. The reason I want to stay away from this fight is because Jared Cannonier is very experienced. He's a good all-around grappler. He can go out there and take down Michael Venom Page at any point in this fight. I truly think he's not someone as dominant as like these Dagestani wrestlers or like, a Habib or a DC or anyone like that, but he's a very smart fighter. The only thing that scares me is he's going to be a lot shorter than Michael Venom Page. He's going to be 4 inches shorter. He's going to have an 1.5 inch reach discrepancy in this one as well. But Michael Venom Page is a former 170-pounder. Jared Cannonier fought at heavyweight at one point of his life. Now, he was fat when he did that, but Jared Cannonier is a really good fighter. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about him, but Michael Venom Page's striking style is so odd. He's such a good counter striker to where it's so hard for me to make a pick for this fight. If I had to make one, though, I think I'm gonna favor Jared Cannonier, and this might be a bias because I think so highly of Jared Cannonier. He's genuinely one of the best middleweights out there. He always finds a way to go out there and get the win. And I do think that if he is going to win this fight, he's going to do it through the grappling. Now, if he can't do that, Michael Venom Page is going to knock out Jared Cannonier, I believe. But I'm going to say Jared Cannonier by decision. I think he's going to be able to go out there and use his strengths, his experience, and truly get this one done against Michael Venom Page. But I am not confident whatsoever. Next fight we got was the fight that was rebooked from UFC 314. Jeff Neal, Hands of Steel Neal versus Carlos Prates. Now, I think that this fight is going to be great. Like, this one's going to be an absolutely banging fight. These guys are going to go in there and throw down. Jeff Neal is one of the best fighters, honestly, in the UFC welterweight divisions, although he has had a very, very, very tough strength of schedule as of recent. Fought Shavkat Rakhmonov, fought Ian Gary, has fought some absolutely great fighters. I believe he fought RDA in his last one, which he was able to go out there and get the win. But back to the hard fights for Mr. Neal. He's fighting the up-and-coming prospect Carlos Prates, who just lost to Ian Gary in his last one. Main event, Kansas City, Missouri. Absolutely great fight, and a fight that Carlos Prates could have won if he changed it up a little bit. I think that this is a very, I don't want to say easy fight to pick. Carlos Prates is the big favorite in this card, and I do think he's going to go out there and really get the win. You know, Jeff Neal is an absolutely scrappy fighter. I think he's going to go out there and really put a good chance and good tell against Carlos Prates. But Carlos Prates hits so hard. I mean, I don't think Jeff Neal's exactly the type of fighter who's really elusive and all this and that, to where, you know, I think Carlos Prates is probably going to catch him at some point in this fight, which Carlos Prates catches everyone unless if you're named Ian Gary. So I'm going to say Carlos Prates is going to win this fight by knockout in the second round. I do think that Jeff Neal can win this one as well. He is a veteran. If Jeff Neal does win, he is going to do it by decision, in my opinion. But I do have Carlos Prates by second round knockout. I would just bet on Carlos Prates for the win. Pair this with the Kaya Sakaru pick. And I do think that Carlos Prates for the win, paired with Kaya Sakaru, is a great fight. I'm pretty confident with this one as well. I think that Carlos Prates is only going to level up against his fight against Ian Gary. Jeff Neal hasn't fought since last October. I definitely think that this is going to be a banging fight to watch between these two major welterweights. Now, moving to the UFC co-main event of this card, we got Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico is a newcomer to the UFC. He was scheduled to fight Movsar Evloev at the UFC Abu Dhabi card that happened a couple weeks ago, the Whitaker versus DeRitter card. And he was supposed to be taking on Movsar, like I said, and I genuinely think that Movsar would have been a very, very, very tough fight on him. Now he's taken on Lerone Murphy, who is a very good fighter and someone I am very high on looking at inside the UFC. I don't see how Aaron Pico gets this one done. And what's crazy to me is that Lerone Murphy is a big underdog in this fight. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm super confident that Lerone Murphy's going to get done. I haven't watched a lot of Aaron Pico to really go out there and get my full analysis. Now, Murphy's 6 years older. Pico's 28. Lerone Murphy's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. And honestly, he's going to have, he's going to have an inch height advantage. But Lerone Murphy's a great counter striker. He's someone who really goes in there and kind of takes his time. Great fight against Josh Emmett. Great fight against Edson Barbosa. I mean, he's just such a good, opponent in there. Lerone Murphy getting this fight kind of on short notice. I believe it was on like 2 or 3 weeks notice. I just think he's going to go out there and beat Aaron Pico. I know Pico's been training with Chimaev, and this is going to be a very close one, but I do think that Lerone Murphy's experience fighting some of the kind of best fighters inside the UFC, UFC featherweight division, him on the cusp of a title shot, him being undefeated, I really do think that he's going to go out there in this co-main event and go and beat Mr. Aaron Pico. I do think Lerone Murphy is going to be a future, really top contender inside the UFC featherweight division. My only problem with him is he kind of fights like Leon Edwards in a way, which is funny because they're both British. He kind of fights in a way he doesn't have that killer instinct all the time. But I do think that Lerone Murphy, if he can go out there and really show the world that he is one of the best fighters on a big pay-per-view card, someone who usually headlines fight nights, It's going to be a big win for him, and I do think that beating Aaron Pico is something that's going to happen in this fight. I'm not that confident in this pick, but I do think that Aaron Pico is going to lose his fight. He could have some octagon jitters, whereas Lerone Murphy has been there and done that. Dricus du Plessis, Khamzat Chimaev. If we're going to take a very deep dive into this fight, it's going to be very interesting to see how these two play out, because genuinely, I'm still torn on this fight of how it's going to go. Khamzat Chimaev is going to have an inch height advantage. They're both 31 years old. Dricus is going to have an inch reach advantage. They both have very big, significant strikes landed per minute. Their sub averages are both good. I mean, Chimaev's is unreal because of how short his fights are. But when I'm looking at these two, what are going to be the big factors going into this fight? And I think that genuinely Dricus du Plessis is going to have to stop the first round takedown. And that sounds very, very, of a common sense thing, but no one has been able to stop the first round takedown of Khamzat Chimaev. Genuinely, Kamaru Usman had his back taken. Robert Whittaker was submitted. Kevin Holland was submitted. Li Jingliang was submitted. All these guys were submitted by Khamzat Chimaev in the first round except Usman, who was able to defend it off, but got his back taken and was a 10-8 round. It was a very close one. And I mean, I think Dricus has the style to kind of do it. He's really big, really bulky, really fast. I mean, he might not be like really, fast twitch, much muscle fiber fast, but he's really quick in everything he does. He's really smart. I think he's going to go in there. I think he's been training right, and I do think that he's going to go out there and beat Khamzat Chimaev. I don't know exactly how. I do think it's going to be by 4th round TKO or 3rd round TKO as Khamzat gets a little bit tired. I don't think he's going to get submitted in that way just because Khamzat kind of has that ingrained memory in his head not to kind of be submitted, but I do think that Dricus is going to start wailing on him. He's got some of the best cardio in the UFC. He's just going to go out there and truly show everyone why he is one of the best middleweights of all time, why he beat Sean Strickland twice, Robert Whittaker once, Israel Adesanya once, all these really top middleweights out there. Now, Chimaev could 100% get this win, and I do think if he wins, it's going to be in the first round. I don't think that Khamzat beats Dricus du Plessis in a decision. One, this being a 5-round fight, we have never seen Khamzat Chimaev in those deep weight rounds, and I'm very concerned with how he is going to fare. Now, I know he's got a different training camp, and he's been bringing in different guys to really focus on his health and cardio, but 5 rounds is a different breed, especially with someone who has a gas tank like Dricus du Plessis, and who is as awkward, mechanically as he is as well. Dricus, on the other hand, also a great grappler. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to reverse Chimaev in some instances. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to go dominate Chimaev on the ground because that's unrealistic, but I do think that he's going to have some stances to go out there, reverse Chimaev, possibly get positions. Chimaev is going to break out pretty easily. He might be able to threat with a submission or two, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a threat for Chimaev. But I do think the biggest thing to look at between these two individuals is the striking difference. I think Chimaev is he's a good striker in a regard that he's very fundamental. He kind of keeps his hands up, but if we look in that Usman fight and that Gilbert Burns fight, Chimaev was getting popped with some jabs, with a lot of different things, and I do think that Dricus du Plessis' awkward style, and him being one of the smartest fighters in the UFC, creating a different game plan for each different fighter out there, it's going to really benefit him in this one. I think he's going to go out there and win this fight, man. It's really hard for me to bet against Dricus du Plessis. I bet against him in the Robert Whittaker fight. I bet against him in the first Sean Strickland fight. I picked him to beat Israel Adesanya, and I picked him to beat Sean Strickland again. I mean, it's really difficult to go out there and see Dricus du Plessis fight and not win this one. I mean, in my brain, there's no way that Chimaev loses this fight, but I've seen it enough when Dricus du Plessis that I just can't bet against him. I wouldn't bet on this fight. If you're going to make a parlay for this, a 3-fight parlay, I would stick to Lerone Murphy, Carlos Prates, and Kaya Sakaru, but Dricus du Plessis, I think, is going to get it done 3rd or 4th round TKO over Khamzat Chimaev. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and let me know what you think down below in the comment section of all these fights with Tim Elliott, Kaya Sakaru, Jared Cannonier, Michael Venom Page, Carlos Prates, Jeff Neal, Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico, and Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, this is a very stacked UFC card that we got here coming up in Chicago, Illinois. I'm so excited to see Dricus versus Khamzat. It's a fight that we've been begging for the longest time, and it's a fight that Khamzat Chimaev, hadn't deserved until he went out there and finished Robert Whittaker in just over 2 minutes. And Dricus du Plessis has been one of the most dominant champions over the past couple times, and you might not think about that with his decision wins over Sean Strickland twice, but first person to submit Israel Adesanya, someone to go out there and TKO Robert Whittaker. I mean, Dricus du Plessis is a monster. Also is Khamzat Chimaev. These is the clash of two the unmovable object meets the unpenetrable force. I mean, these two guys, Dricus is undefeated in the UFC. Khamzat's undefeated, period. I mean, this is going to be an absolute war between these two individuals, but I'm going to side on the fair Dricus du Plessis. It might not be smart. I think Khamzat could win in a lot of different aspects. If you had to say, I think he's going to win, but I can't bet against Dricus du Plessis. And there's a pathway that I see him winning realistically. Dricus is such a good fighter, as well as Khamzat as well, too. But get your popcorn ready this Saturday, August 16th. It's going to be an absolutely banging fight from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to help the channel grow. While you're down there, turn on the post notifications. Always get notified as UFC content releases. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon.